You are 13 years old, and the man from the imperial household has just checked your teeth, your hands, and your skin, and nodded. That nod means the next 12 years of your life now belong to the Forbidden City. You will serve inside it as a palace maid. And by the end of this video, you will understand why the day they finally let you out was the cruelest day of all. You did not volunteer. No one volunteers. Your family are bondservants of the court. The palace has first claim on its daughters. And this year, the draft came for you. Your mother does not cry at the gate. Crying in front of officials is dangerous. She waits until your cart turns the corner. You know, because you looked back. She told you not to. You looked back anyway. The walls, when you reach them, are taller than anything you have ever seen. The color of dried blood, crowned in golden roofs. The gate opens just wide enough for a line of girls. Then it closes. And a woman in a dark robe looks down at you and speaks the first rule of your new life. From this moment, you do not exist. Everything you know about how to be a person is now wrong. There are rules for a palace maid, hundreds, and they are enforced with a rod. You may not look a superior in the face, eyes down always. You may not smile with your teeth showing. You may not speak above a whisper. You may not run, but you must never, ever be late. You walk close to the walls because the center of every path belongs to your betters. You do not sing. You do not hum. You do not own anything the palace did not give you, and the rules follow you into sleep. A palace maid must sleep on her side, knees bent, one hand under her cheek, never flat on your back. We know this rule was real because one maid who served the Empress Dowager herself lived long enough to tell it decades later. The old women taught them the reason. The palace belongs to its spirits at night, and a girl sleeping face up is showing them disrespect. You are 13 years old, and you now practice how to sleep. These are the easy rules. The hard ones are the ones nobody says out loud. The ones you learn the first time the rod comes down. Your day begins before the sun, and it ends when your mistress sleeps. In between you stand. A palace maid on duty stands for up to 16 hours. Still, silent, invisible, waiting to be needed. You eat 2 meals and never a full stomach, because a maid who needs the toilet at the wrong moment is a maid who gets beaten. Rise high enough, and you serve the most powerful woman in China herself, the Empress Dowager Cixi. You hold the mirror while her hair is dressed into the great winged headdress. You kneel with the basin. You carry her water, her tea, her spittoon. Her fingernails wear guards of gold longer than your fingers. And if your hands tremble while you serve her, the Gugu will hear of it before nightfall. Now, the palace does pay you. That surprises people. A few taels of silver a month. More if a consort favors you, a coin pressed into your palm when you carry a message swiftly and forget you ever read the face of the person who sent it. Girls send it home. Girls hoard it in the hems of robes, because silver is the only thing in these walls that is truly yours. And here is something the other videos get wrong. Your feet are not bound. They never were. Manchu law forbade it. The palace needs servants who can stand 16 hours, climb stairs, and carry weight. They did not spare your feet to be kind. They spared them to be useful. Everything in here that looks like mercy is maintenance. Here is what no one outside the walls understands. The person you fear most is not the Empress Dowager. It is the Gugu, the senior maid who owns your days. The palace does not waste nobles on disciplining servants. Maids, police maids. Your Gugu was you 15 years ago, drafted at 13, beaten at 14, hardened by 20. Now the rod is hers, and so are you. Your turn comes in your second winter. You are carrying a tray and a porcelain cup, a cup older than your family name, slides and cracks against the stones. What happens next happens quietly. That is the worst part. No shouting. The Gugu simply looks at you, then looks at the storeroom door. Inside, you hold out your hands, palms up, and you count the strokes yourself, because making the girl count is the point. 10, 20, 30. Your voice must not break. If your voice breaks, you start again from 1. You sleep that night with your palms wrapped in cloth, on your side, knees bent, exactly as the rules require. And you understand something new about this place. They do not punish you to hurt you. They punish you to teach you to do it to yourself. There is a duty the day maids whisper about, the night watch. When your name is on the list, you do not sleep. You kneel in the outer chamber while your mistress does, all night, perfectly still, listening to her breathe. If she wakes and calls, you must answer before the second word. If she sleeps until dawn, you have knelt for 8 hours. For nothing. Your knees learn to go numb in a particular order. You learn to sleep with your eyes open. A skill the old maids all have, and none of them will teach you, because each of them paid for it the same way you are paying now. And the palace at night is not the palace of the day. 9,000 rooms, and almost all of them dark. The lanterns are spaced so far apart that between them, you walk through pure black. The old maids say the spirits walk the western palaces after the 3rd watch. You do not believe them, then you serve enough night watches, and you begin to believe them a little. But here is the true danger of the night watch. And it is not ghosts. It is ears. At night, the powerful talk. Consorts whisper to eunuchs. Names are spoken that should not be spoken. And a kneeling maid in the dark corner is furniture. Until the morning someone remembers the furniture was listening. In the Forbidden City, girls do not disappear for what they did. They disappear for what they heard. There are no husbands for palace maids. No suitors. No letters, no touch. The only men inside these walls besides the emperor's household are the eunuchs. And so, in the dormitories and the service courtyards, something grows that the palace pretends not to see. They called it Duishi, eating opposite each other. A maid and a eunuch pairing off, sharing meals across a small table, mending each other's winter clothes, saving coins for each other's old age. A marriage in everything except the one thing neither of them will ever be permitted to have. The court mocked it. Some reigns punished it. It never stopped. Because a girl who has not been held since she was 13 will take a family in whatever shape the walls allow. For 2 winters, a young eunuch from the tea bureau leaves a warmed brick at the foot of your sleeping platform on the coldest nights. You have never once spoken of it. You mend the torn shoulder of his grey robe and leave it folded where he will find it. That is the entire conversation. That is the whole marriage. And it is the only thing in the Forbidden City that is yours. Which is exactly why you already know the palace will find a way to take it. 1900. Foreign armies are marching on the capital, and the court is going to run. The Empress Dowager, the Emperor, the whole glittering machine, fleeing its own city in peasant carts, disguised before dawn, but before she leaves. Cixi has one piece of business, the Pearl Concubine, Fei, the Emperor's favourite, young, sharp and unafraid, which, in this palace, is a disease. She has argued that the emperor should stay in the capital. She has argued once too often. You are in the Ningxu courtyard that morning. You are not supposed to be. You are carrying linens and you freeze behind a pillar because the Empress Dowager's voice is in the air and it is calm. Calm is the most frightening sound you know. The order is given. The eunuchs hesitate. The order is given again. They take her to the narrow well by the wall. She does not beg. The accounts say she called out for the emperor. It does not matter. They force her in. And the court leaves the city that same hour, like a tide going out. The court runs west, all the way to Xi'an, 1,000 miles of dust and shame. It is 2 years before the palaces fill again. 2 years before you walk back through those gates. And when you do, 1902, the well is still there, right where it was. No marker, no name. Everyone knows. No one says, you carry linens past that well for the rest of your service. And you never once look at it. Eyes down, always. That rule finally makes sense. And now the part of your story the other videos never tell you, because they never checked. They will tell you a palace maid could never leave, that the gates swallowed girls forever. The truth is stranger, and it is worse. At around 25, a Qing palace maid was released. Sent home, free to marry, on paper. Mercy. Here is what mercy looks like. You are 25 in a world where girls marry at 16. You have spent 12 years mastering rules that exist nowhere else on earth. You flinch at raised voices. You walk beside walls in open streets. You cannot sleep on your back. You never will again for the rest of your life. You own a hemful of silver and the ability to stand motionless for 16 hours. And no one outside those walls has any use for either. Some maids marry late and badly. Some are returned by families who no longer recognize the daughter they sent. And some, hear this, some walk back to the red gates and ask to stay, as servants, as Gugus, as the woman holding the rod over the next 13-year-old. The Forbidden City does not need to keep you. It only needs to make sure that by the time it lets you go, there is nowhere else you fit. At the start, I told you the day they let you out was the cruelest day. Now you know why. The palace took 12 years, and in exchange, it made every year after belonged to it too. Almost none of these women left a trace. No letters, no portraits, no memoirs. Nobody asks a servant for her story. Thousands of girls walked through those gates, kept their eyes down, and vanished out of history through a side door. We know the rules, the sleeping, the silence, the teeth, because one old woman, decades later, in a different China, finally sat down and told a writer what it had been like to serve the Empress Dowager as a girl. One voice out of thousands. That is the entire surviving testimony of the palace maid's life, a rounding error away from total silence. The history they wanted you to forget walked out through those gates in the memory of a maid, and it kept its eyes down for 50 years before it dared to speak. Subscribe, and remember the ones who kept their eyes down.